In addition to accessing all of your customer account information, as well as creating service tickets and checking inventory, there are also a variety of other lists available for access in TechWeb. Under Main Menu, we will cover the Rolodex, Vendor List, Central Stations, and Knowledgebase in this video. In Rolodex, you have a list of all the names and addresses within the Rolodex of Alarm. As you may know, in Alarm you have a personal Rolodex and a group Rolodex. If you have selected that this user could only access their personal Rolodex, then only the names and addresses that they have entered can be viewed. If it's a group Rolodex, then you have access, and this user has access to all of the names and addresses in your Rolodex section. You can add additional Rolodex items from here. You can change existing names and addresses or view. So let's go ahead and click on one of these Rolodex items. Click on Change. And then you'll see you have a relationship just like an Alarm with a list of all the varieties of relationships for Rolodex that you'd want to enter. The name, address, phone numbers, and then the email addresses and their website. If you click on the email address or the website, it will launch your email program and automatically address the email for you. If you have more names and addresses that can appear on one screen, you will have a search tab up on top, and you can click on any column to sort and search your names and addresses by those column headings. Let's go to Vendor List. The vendor list typically contains a list of vendors that you purchase components from. This is the same list you have in Alarm, and this is the validation list that's used in inventory within TechWeb and Alarm when you go into inventory. You can sort any column on the vendor list by clicking on the top of the column. And if this list is longer than what can appear on the screen, you will have a search tab up on top so that you can search by any one of those columns. Go into a vendor and you have the typical name and address, phone numbers and email address and website, and the net terms as well. When you go to create a purchase order in TechWeb, this vendor list also will appear, and you can select which vendor you're purchasing the items from, and it will fill in their name and address information and also the net terms as well. The email address will be used by the purchase orders as knowing which email address to send that PO out to. You can always override the email address, but this would be the default email address. You can also view the central stations that you do business with. This is the same list that would be used in Alarm as a validation to determine which central station is assigned to which accounts. Just like in the other lists, you can sort on the top of each column and do a search if there's more that can appear on one screen. You can add additional central stations or change existing ones and just view if you have authority only for viewing. Central Station Profile has the same types of information as Rolodex and the vendors with a name, address, email address that you can click on to automatically email out, and a website which you can also click on the link and it will bring up your web browser with that URL. Now let's take a look at the Knowledgebase section. The Knowledgebase is an area in Alarm where you can enter specific notes or tech notes, for example, that your technicians might need to have access to. It could be really anything you want this knowledge base to be. It could be company policies and so forth. So an example in this list, we have a couple of components and specific instructions on how to deal with events within those components. So for example, let's look at this first one here. And for this product, here's a description on what to do to bypass the zones. Again, these are notes only accessible by your employees, and just as you would have access to these in Alarm, you have access to and can create new ones within TechWeb as well. You have a large note area here to enter any instructions that are necessary, and then you can save it when you're completed. Just like the other lists, you can click on the column headings to sort or to search by any of those two columns.